I was born in Kiev, Ukraine, and that taught me a lot of lessons. I feel I was always interested in technology, and therefore I started fiddling around with my father's university's computers since I was 5 years old, reinstalling Windows and installing various applications and actually starting coding at the early age. I was coding computer games in BASIC and things like that. So I was always fascinated with technology, and it led me to then apply to do a university degree in electronic engineering back home in Ukraine. And I did that. I did a bachelor's and master's in electronic engineering, and then came to London to do a PhD. I was actually selected by one of the university professors here, and then I joined him in his research group, and I did research in electromagnetic theory and applying that into the world of 4G technologies. So I was really happy that I was able to work on these advanced technologies that are going to come out in the next 5 to 10 years and revolutionize the way we communicate. And luckily that's actually happened. So I was able to be a very small part, but an important, hopefully, part of this revolutionary technology come out to market. I had a great time at university, really enjoyed my time over there, but I then decided I wanted to apply my knowledge of telecoms into the real business world. I wanted to see how this affects real companies and how real services could be launched into the market on the back of the research that I've done. So I joined Deloitte subsequently in their consulting division. And since, I've been at Deloitte for 10 years, never looked back, and I had a great time over there. I can look back to a lot of, very, very rewarding experiences I had in terms of helping real businesses understand the implications of technology and the impact technology is going to have, and actually help them figure out how to best use new technologies and advanced IP that's coming out in terms of accelerating and advancing their business forward and building something sustainable and exciting that's going to go into everyday consumer's life. Yeah, so as I mentioned, my research was focused on building components of telecommunication systems, mobile networks. We now know them as 4G. And I was using a very interesting physical effect in order to improve performance of antenna and filter structures. It's called electromagnetic band gap effect. And what's interesting about it, it's also used by some of the researchers in order to create invisible materials. So with this effect, you can actually create invisible clothes and things like that. I was actually using this effect to improve performance of antenna filter structures, and it worked really well. So I've been able to publish quite a number of good publications in well-recognized journals and present at conferences. But also I was manufacturing these structures, and I was able to measure the effect, and I was able to then suggest how this could go and be implemented into the real world of industry. So in terms of the advance of technology, I was actually able to practically create something and suggest for implementation of this. And I understand the way new technologies are coming out into the market based on my own experience, because I know how universities work. I know the real value of creating IP that is applicable in the business world and could be launched and could become subsequently as successful services that every consumer uses. In terms of where I think things are going to go, well, across the board we see acceleration of new technology coming out into the market. And we live in an exciting time where we have few paradigm shifts that have just happened in mobile and social specifically. But we also have new paradigm shifts that are coming into the market, like blockchain, like artificial intelligence. And this will create exciting opportunities for us as consumers, because we will be able to use services that we couldn't even imagine would have existed before. I think in the next few years, maybe 5-10 years time, we will have real applications of these technologies that everyday consumer is going to use. Yeah, so what's happening right now is technology is replacing a lot of legacy infrastructure and legacy models, including governance models as well. When we talk about blockchain, I think blockchain could be a great enabler for a bunch of things, but also blockchain allows you for a decentralized voting process, for example, and it could solve a lot of inefficiencies and a lot of challenges that exist right now in the public sector world, including but other sectors as well. And when we talk about society and how to improve our societies we live in, I think blockchain will become an important technology actually helping that to happen, because it does allow for democratization of financial services, for better financial inclusion, for a more robust and trustworthy voting process, for replacing some legacy infrastructures in the public services, multiple types of ledgers that I could mention. Blockchain is great for actually keeping records and registries in a decentralized fashion, and therefore is much, much more efficient and exciting in the way current registries are kept, and could replace ultimately and become the enabler for those things. And when you couple that with artificial intelligence and what it would do for us, I think when you combine blockchain and artificial intelligence, you can come up with all sorts of exciting services. I would think applications in healthcare, for example, are very exciting, where you'd be able to, for example, create a drug and understand people's patterns and understand the disease, the specific disease that some people are struggling with, and create drugs almost on the go by using huge amounts of data that already have been collected and processed, by understanding the patterns of diseases that exist in the world out there, by understanding everything about this specific human being, and then by bringing ability to issue something and record something on the blockchain in terms of healthcare records for this specific individual, and combining these two aspects in ability to actually serve the right solution, the right healthcare solution to a specific patient, and record what's happened after the patient has been able to take that solution, and hopefully record the progress and build on that and release a better drug later on in the process. So hopefully in the future we'll be able to improve our healthcare massively by combining these exciting technologies. As I mentioned, I've been always very fond of understanding all the cutting-edge technologies that existed out there, and I've heard about Bitcoin almost since its inception, but I've kind of I was sitting on the fence for about a year or two, monitoring the progress but not being engaged very actively. And then I ended up in the Silicon Valley in San Jose at a Bitcoin conference, and I saw all those exciting people who were trying to change the world by bringing this new technology into the market. And I got excited myself, and there was no way back for me since. I was actively promoting blockchain and Bitcoin technology to my friends, to the community of people I communicate with, and within the organizations that I interact with all the time. It led me to do many things related with blockchain and Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general. First is I've co-founded a Bitcoin Foundation in Ukraine together with my friends, and I think Ukraine will benefit from blockchain as technology because Ukraine is a very interesting and exciting market, but there are a lot of challenges in the country as well. So blockchain technology will empower a lot of new and transparent things, hopefully come and be introduced in the country, and that's already starting to happen with the world's first decentralized auction being built and launched in Ukraine, for example. And then I also launched the blockchain initiative at Deloitte in the UK and became the founder together with another enthusiastic person, the founder of Blockchain Lab at Deloitte. And we've been growing very, very quickly since then because there's been a lot of demand from clients. There's been a fantastic response to the initiatives that we've been doing. And also we're seeing increasingly great response to the platform that we're building around identity management. Yeah, we live through a classic hype curve with blockchain, and I think it's normal. It's been tested on other innovative technologies, including the internet itself, where they usually go through the hype curve, where there is a lot of hype, then there is trough of disillusionment, and then there is plateau of productivity. So we probably are now at the top of the hype curve for blockchain as technology. And I'm fine with that. I think there will be some attrition that will happen in terms of the startups failing in the blockchain space and some clients get disinterested in blockchain. But it doesn't mean that blockchain as technology isn't revolutionary. I personally believe it is. And it's just we will take a little bit more time for this technology to become more mature and to actually go and replace a lot of the stuff that we have right now and go into production rather than go into proof of concepts, as we see a lot happening at the moment. And I see it actually being introduced not only in financial services or public sector, but across pretty much most sectors to some degree. And it will go in as an enabler. And I think blockchain as technology will be very successful when we actually don't mention the word blockchain anymore. It will just sit there quietly as your very helpful and useful enabler for a lot of things that will start to happen. At the moment, there is a lot of hype and there is a lot of discussion in the financial services sector, how blockchain will revolutionize and potentially disrupt a lot of the activities that financial services institutions are doing. But we're starting to see also insurance companies, manufacturing companies, healthcare companies, pharmaceutical companies, and people from other sectors like media getting increasingly interested in actually experimenting with this technology, but also discussing how this technology could go and become a production system. So, my prediction is that we'll probably still have a couple of years where we are trying and testing how this technology works. And at the same time, the type of blockchains that we have right now, the biggest ones, Bitcoin, Ethereum, are going to take a little bit more time to mature and to actually create a lot of trust amongst clients in the maturity of the platform, in the security of the platform, in ability to solve the governance issues that currently exist. And at that time, after that happens, I think in a few years' time, we will see a raft of implementations go into the real world of business. So I see Ethereum and Ethereum Foundation to be a very exciting development and exciting organization that has emerged a few years ago. And I really like Ethereum as a platform because it actually created something that potentially Bitcoin hasn't been able to do previously. And it actually pushed Bitcoin community and Bitcoin as a platform to evolve as well and to start catching up in terms of some of the functionality that Ethereum provides. So we will have a very exciting battle between the capabilities of these two platforms. Currently, Bitcoin obviously has the upper hand in terms of the size of the community and number of transactions and the market cap associated with the platform. But Ethereum, I think, has a little bit of more excitement in terms of the research that's happening around the platform and the functionality that Ethereum as a research project currently is able to do. And I think in this context, the experiment of the DAO was very helpful, although I think it could have been managed a little bit better in terms of not letting so much people invest a lot of funds into it because it was still an experimentation. But I think on the back of the failure of DAO, there's been a lot of learnings for the Ethereum community and for the blockchain community in general of how to better manage these things, how to write a better code before releasing it at a massive scale, and how to actually probably do things at a small scale first, experiment, try, iterate, and then release it at a later stage in a more mass market kind of way. And also it let us think about trust and about identities on the blockchain even more. I think what DAO showed is potentially there is still an issue of trust, and blockchains haven't solved it yet totally. Trust is something that blockchains could solve in the future by bringing the decentralized component, by bringing all the excitement of cryptography, by bringing this universal database of records and universal capability to launch new applications in an automated fashion without any need for central party or authority, and therefore creating a lot of trust in the platform without having a single point of failure of trust with this one central party that is being replaced right now. But at the same time, we've now realized that the governance issue still exists, and when the governance issue will be solved, at that point we will have proper trust coming into the blockchains, and that's when I think blockchains will become an ordinary component of our everyday lives. There are a lot of exciting technologies that are being developed and emerged recently that we will start appreciating very soon. And I think individually they're all exciting, but when you combine them all together, it makes our lives even more exciting. I think what we'll see happening is sometimes we won't actually be realizing what's artificial intelligence, what's Internet of Everything, what's blockchain, and what kind of role they all play in a specific service that exists in the market. I think we'll see all of those become great enablers that sit in behind and just do their job. But at the same time, I think what's important is there has been a big shift in terms of accessibility of these technologies to developers specifically. And it's become much cheaper as a developer to start developing based on various new technologies that are coming out in the market because they're becoming more accessible and sometimes open source. So you can just pick up a technology and start coding on top of it and then mashing these technologies together. And as a developer, I think it's a great time to live because you can create so much exciting stuff right now at almost zero cost because cost of infrastructure has gone down massively. and a lot of these technologies are open sourced. So we've now got blockchain, which is obviously an open source technology, and you can just pick it up and start doing stuff on the blockchain. But we've now got machine learning algorithms that are being open sourced, very powerful algorithms. So as a developer, you can now pick up these two components and start meshing things together and creating something exciting. What we'll also see, we'll start seeing Internet of Things and Internet of Everything, as some people are calling them. Some of the components of those being open sourced as well, and there are already platforms, connectivity platforms for Internet of Everything that are open source, and these platforms will get plugged in, and developers will start using them, also combining them with artificial intelligence, machine learning algorithms, and blockchain. And we will start having these new exciting services, I think, launched into the market, which will enable our lives to become better. I think when we go into the Internet of Things, we will see much more connected devices out there, and we're already starting to see that happen. I think we recently had more internet connected devices out there than mobile phones. We'll see them recording data on the blockchain, and we'll have this one universal ledger where all the data is going to be stored. Therefore, it will be much easier to interact, extract, and mine data of all those connected devices that exist out there. And therefore, we'll be able to create many more services on the back of the data and devices, and help everyday consumer to get better services, I think, as a result. To me, it's all about consumers, and it's all about the value that they're getting. There is no point in developing technology that's not going to go and be applied into the real world. So therefore, I see a combination of these technologies just to benefit us as consumers in the medium long term. Hopefully it will start happening very soon, and we'll be able to try ourselves as Deloitte in moving things along and in evolving a lot of that technology. We're already doing that with blockchain and artificial intelligence, and we're starting to do that with Internet of Things as well. We're creating a lot of exciting prototypes and proof of concepts, and we're actually showing our clients how these things are going to transform their businesses. We have a lot of experimentation labs around the world. We have people whose roles are chief disruptors, and all they do is they get all the latest cool things, and they start meshing those things together and build services on top of them, and then show to clients how to do that. So we are playing our part in that, and hopefully we will move the industries around us to be much more quick in adopting these exciting technologies and bringing services into the market. So by nature, I'm an entrepreneur. If you work in a big corporate, I think there's a term that's called intrapreneur. So I think I'm one of those. And through the nature of me, I think it led me to doing the two roles that I do right now. First is I lead our investments for Deloitte Ventures, where we invest and partner with startups. And I always enjoy communicating with the world of startups, because I think some of the most exciting technology out there is now coming out of sometimes the smallest startups you can imagine. And then they happen to grow so quickly and become big companies very soon, that for Deloitte it's actually very important to keep abreast and keep those relationships from the early stage, because we want to be a valuable part of the ecosystem, and we want to help those startups grow quickly, and we want to bring our capabilities and our network to the benefit of those startups. So that's what we do, and that's what I do in my role. And the second role is blockchain. As I mentioned, I was very enthusiastic about blockchain technology from early days. and I was trying to bring blockchain to become part of Deloitte's offering. And we are now doing that. We've launched our blockchain offering at Deloitte UK, but also Deloitte globally. I think we've got a very strong capability around the world now in blockchain, and we're bringing more and more exciting propositions into the market. My second role is in leading our blockchain team in the UK, where we're focusing on building our own platforms, but also advising clients about this exciting technology. Yeah, I think what we should realize is a lot of corporate clients get stick sometimes for not being innovative enough. However, just the nature of a corporate means they have existed and survived for quite a while. And we should realize that they wouldn't have been able to survive without innovating all the time. So I think sometimes we don't give enough credit to corporates and big companies for innovating and for surviving. It's quite difficult to do. And it's becoming even more difficult to do in our age, where technology is disrupting a lot of parts of various value chains for our clients. And as Deloitte, we've been innovating for ages as well. And that's why we stayed relevant, and that's why we've been successful for this long. And we still keep doing that. And because technology, as I mentioned, is enabling a lot of things to happen very, very quickly, we are now much more active in terms of innovating on the back of technology. So other than investing and partnering with startups, we also are launching our own businesses internally as Deloitte. We have our own incubator within Deloitte UK for our internal businesses to be launched. And we're addressing specific areas which are strategically important to Deloitte, where we want to launch and transform the way we currently do business, and we want to launch new services for our clients that are going to be valuable and competitive and relevant in the market. So we're actually transforming big parts of our business and making them much more efficient, but also making them much more up with the time. And we use technology in order to bring new innovation to the market. We use technology in order to transform the way we do things internally as well. We've got many success stories up till now. I think some things are failing and we expect them to fail, and we're fine with that. We understand that this is a portfolio play, and in order to bring some services very quickly to the market, you need to be able to cope with failure and do these things very quickly. But also you need to invest more, and you need to recognize the things that are working and be willing to keep investing in developing those things into what hopefully will become the future business of Deloitte. I think blockchain is one of these things, but we have a number of things across artificial intelligence, fintech, retail and e-com technology, insurance tech. We have real estate technology businesses that we're launching. So across the board, we're doing a lot of exciting stuff. And then there is the side of startups where we invest and partner. And the premise for that is that we understand that not all the best ideas will come from within Deloitte. And there is so much talent and there is so much ability for people to now launch something very exciting very easily out there, that we simply need to start tapping into the external world and be able to partner with companies much more easily and to bring that technology to our clients. At the end of the day, what concerns us most is that we are relevant and we bring more value to clients. The way we do it is secondary, and we can find the best models that will work better for our clients, and our clients trust us in that. So therefore we're bringing things like crowdsourcing, we're bringing much more technologies from our partners on board, and we're finding the right models how to do that. So we've become much more flexible in the way we do things with clients and in the way we monetize some of those services as well. We are a knowledge-based business and skills-based business and people-based business. So insight for us is strategically important. And I think where previously there was a lot of work generated on the back of just knowing something, I think we're moving very quickly into the world where just knowing isn't enough. You should be able to apply your knowledge, and you should be the best at doing that as well. So the knowledge side and IP side is still very important, but we're also developing the capability in terms of applying that knowledge very, very quickly and to the best degree. However, we still keep releasing a lot of insight, and we still are spending a lot of time thinking about our clients' problems. And I think without that, some of the services that people launched to the market would be irrelevant. I think understanding where the problem lies and understanding what is the best way to solve that problem is still very, very important. Therefore, we have this great insight capability within Deloitte, and we are doing a lot of research, a lot of data crunching, and we're releasing some of that as publications. I think some of the exciting publications that we have are our TMT predictions, which is this regular annual publication that we've been releasing for a number of years now. And that's all about the major trends within technology, media and telecoms, and our prediction of the impact of those trends in the next 18-24 months. We've always taken on a more pragmatic stance because we understand and we've seen there's been a lot of hype in the market around those technologies. And we're starting to see, we're actually good at demystifying some of those myths sometimes in terms of how quickly these technologies are going to be applied. But we're also good at pointing to specific data points and giving people understanding of maturity of some of these technologies. Some other ones which are exciting are the work that our global firm has been doing with the World Economic Forum around financial services. We've released a number of publications with WEF around the implications of technology onto the world of financial services, and just recently we've released 2 more publications with WEF around the impact of blockchain on the financial infrastructure and a blueprint for digital identity. 2 very important subjects in my mind, and we'll see a lot of change related to these 2 topics in the next few years. We have the Center for the Edge, which is our research facility around the globe that is purposed to release all these great publications, but also every country firm has their own research capability and are releasing specific localized publications as well. So the history of how blockchain has been developing as an industry is that we had Bitcoin first, and Bitcoin has started to be applied into the world of democratization of financial services and payments and money transfer. So therefore, a lot of people started looking into those use cases for blockchains to tap into and to actually enable. However, we've realized quite early that for big companies to be able to adopt blockchains and to start using blockchains, both for financial services use cases, but also for other use cases, the problem of identity management need to be solved. Bitcoin is pseudo-anonymous as technology, where people actually don't need to disclose their identity necessarily in order to be able to do something. And I think that's beneficial in some cases, but detrimental in other cases. It's created a lot of excitement into the world of financial inclusion, and I think promoted a lot of things there. But at the same time, when we talk about bringing these exciting technologies into the world of big corporates, our clients, I think people will realize that they won't be able to adopt those technologies until the problem of identity is properly solved. So that's the area we started to look at, as I mentioned last year. And we've been proactively thinking on the back of the capability and knowledge that we had at Deloitte for years, because we've been doing know your client, anti-money laundering work and forensic work for clients for a number of years. So we understand that world very, very well. And we have good IP associated with the work that we've been doing. So we started building on top of that IP, and we took blockchain as a great platform in order to advance all the solutions in identity management that existed before and build something new and exciting. And this led us to release a prototype for what we call a smart identity solution. I think the premise for smart identity is that we think the way identities are managed at the moment is broken. We as consumers leave footprints of our identities everywhere without even realizing it, and we as consumers don't even control our identity properly. It's been controlled by intermediary parties or by third parties, and we don't have a say of how our identities are used sometimes. So we saw blockchain technology as something revolutionary, which could allow consumers to actually start owning their own identity and managing their identities in a much more exciting and efficient way. We've created a mechanism by which you can create your identity on the blockchain as an individual or as an organization, and you can start adding attributes to that identity. Could be your identity documents, and those documents could be verified and endorsed by your official registries or by your friends or by other third parties. And then you'd be able to share parts or elements of your identity depending on the type of service that you want to get. And you'll have much more control over how you share those things with third parties, and you'd be able to call back some of those documents or parts of documents that you've shared. You'd be able to set expiration dates on some of the endorsements that exist out there. And generally, you'd be able to create a much more fluid platform in order to allow for much more business to be done on the back of the identity verification that has happened on the platform. We see a lot of demand and excitement for the smart identity solution, and we are already working with a number of parties on building that out, and hopefully project the vision that we have for identity management and how blockchain enables the better world of identity management. So it's a very exciting project that we're doing right now. We're very, very excited about it, and we're doing a lot of work together with partners in terms of moving that further. When people talk about innovation, I think quite a lot of people confuse between innovation and invention. For a lot of people out there, successful innovation means great product. And although product is very important in succeeding, there are actually a number of other things that are equally important, or maybe even more important, for a new offering to be really innovative and successful. We have a lot of great IP as Deloitte, and one of the things that we have is the methodology which is called 10 types of innovation. And that's where we lay out key components that every organization needs to think about properly before launching something innovative into the marketplace. I think what we're talking about is based on successful examples of other innovative products that have been launched into the market, and I should say innovative offerings or propositions rather than products only, is that sometimes it's these such things like successful distribution channels, or the right pricing model, or successful marketing campaigns, or innovative marketing campaigns, or innovative customer service propositions, or operational excellence that do the job and make those innovative propositions really successful. So it's not only about the technological excellence, and it's not only about the product excellence that will make a business successful. It's also about all of those components all together. So when you are thinking about launching something new into the market, don't think that this is just about the product. Think holistically about the proposition, and think about some other things where you will excel and you will be really distinctive compared to your competition, because it could be those things rather than the product that will make your offering successful.